Hello, my name is Bailey and welcome to a reading vlog. Today's vlog is, kind of a run-of-the-mill, like we don't have a specific goal in mind. However, I'm kind of trying to not entirely replace my screen time with reading, because that's, if you make too lofty of a goal, you're never going to achieve it, is what I've learned in my 22 years of life. But what I'm trying to do is put in effort when I am kind of doom scrolling or just spending a lot of time online to put that aside for a bit and intentionally pick up a book and read at least a few pages, which usually turns into reading a couple chapters, just because I find the hardest part is picking up the book. I've been trying to do that the last couple days, so I thought I'd vlog it. So that's what we're focusing on. Let's talk about what I'm reading. The primary book I'm reading right now is Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco. This is a book from a couple years ago that was relatively popular. I just found it in a box of random books I brought from home when I went to university because I was looking for something to read. This one was in there, so I was like, you know what, sure. It's essentially free because my past self bought it years ago, so a win is a win. This one follows this girl named Amelia, who is a twin, and her twin sister Victoria and her are both witches. They come from a family of witches, and the kind of inciting incident of this book is that Victoria, and it's not Victoria, by the way, it's Vittoria, very different. Victoria gets pretty brutally murdered, and this leads Amelia to try and hunt down Victoria's killer, as well as the murderer, presumably, of these other women who have been getting killed. So she ends up incidentally teaming up with Wrath, who is one of the Wicked, which are these demon princes that are all based on the deadly sins. So there's wrath, lust, greed, pride, you know the rest. So she incidentally ends up teaming up with him, which is a whole ordeal because she's been raised to fear these wicked princes and to, try to protect herself and avoid them at all costs. And now, in light of her sister's murder, she's kind of turning away from all the superstition and stories she's been told up until this point, because it seems that nothing is as it was always told, or nothing is as it seems. So that's kind of what's going on. I am 159 pages in, so about that far through. And it's fine. This is kind of what I would say is the definition of just kind of a mid-fantasy YA. Nothing particularly wrong with it, I would say. It's not glaringly bad in any way, just not impressive or notable in many ways. I don't really have an issue with the characters. It's pretty fast-paced, it's easy to read, but I don't know, it's kind of giving me nothing. Something that's kind of annoying me is that the magic system is very just kind of there. Nothing is really being explained, the reasoning behind things, the witchcraft of it all. They're not explaining how the witchcraft works. They're just kind of doing witchcraft and praying to the goddesses of whatever, whatnot, and I'm just is this how your magic works? How many goddesses are there? Is it always reliable? Because a lot of times they'll pray to the goddess and then just hope it works, and it works, and I'm just is that how it works? I don't know. So I personally don't love that. I like when my magic system is actually thoroughly explained, which kind of leads into my other issue, which is Amelia has been told her whole life that these wicked demon princes can't come to our world because they've been locked out for however long. And then she finds out that, oh, they can come to our world, and we kind of skip over that. She goes, oh, I guess that wasn't true. And then she never interrogates that, or she hasn't interrogated that for 100 pages, and it's starting to piss me off because I'm wait, I'm confused. Ask some questions. The rules of the world are really undefined because we're learning along with her, but she's not really investigating. She just finds things out and then accepts them very easily, and we're not really interrogating those things, which is kind of bothersome to me. But all in all, still a fun enough read and engaging enough, but nothing to write home about at the moment. Maybe it'll change my mind, but at the moment, nothing crazy. Another book, ideally, I'd like to make it through is One for My Enemy by Olivie. This is actually a book I'm reading on audiobook, so it's not a physical read, so it doesn't really apply to the screen time goal, just because if I'm not doing a task walking or biking or, commuting in some way, I usually don't listen to audiobooks because I don't want to listen to audiobooks when I'm just sitting in bed, but I am going to try and get back into this because I'm about 200 pages into this. I am liking it. I just kind of fell off around the 200 page mark. Something like kind of happened in the plot that's kind of like, ooh, shocking, and I kind of just stopped reading after. So I want to get back into this. If you don't know, this is a kind of a Romeo and Juliet retelling, again, about witches. There's these two rival witch families that are like deep-seated enemies, and the youngest children from both these families end up meeting and falling in love while there's this other major conflict going on between the families, which causes problems because they both have motivations to be loyal to their families and, you know, go after the other one's family because of that. But they're also coming together and falling in love, so they're feeling a lot of things. It's the RNJ of it all. And I've been liking this one, and I just want to get back into it and finally finish it because I've been reading this one on and off since like January. I started in January, I think, read about 150 pages. I read that with my eyes and then put it down. And then I picked it up last month on audiobook and then put it down again. So I'm going to return to the audiobook and I'm going to finish this bad boy. Hopefully this week. Hopefully this vlog will motivate me to do so I can update you on my feelings. But yeah. These are the two books that we're working on right now, and I'm confident that I can get through them. I've been reading this one pretty fast, so yeah, this is what we're gonna try and crush in this vlog, so let's get into it. The quality here is probably hot trash because I'm in the dark. That's fine. What I am here to tell you is that I'm on my way home from work, or about to go home from work, and it's like a 10-minute bike ride, so it's not that long, and I was gonna just listen to music, but I'm making the active choice to listen to my audiobook. Even though it's gonna be like 5 minutes of progress, it's progress nonetheless, and I'm recording it here, so I get credit for it, so yay. Hello. It is so late and my brain is kind of fried, but I will give you an update. I did stick to what I said, and I did listen to a bit more of One for My Enemy when I was on my way home from work, and then when I got home I ended up walking my dog around the neighborhood for a little bit, so I listened to some more. I really underestimated how much I would forget about the details of this book in the time I took off from reading it. So when I first started listening, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to them? What are these deals and bargains we're talking about? I was hella confused. So I had to go through and kind of skim the last couple chapters and try to figure out what was going on. But I think for the most part, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little bit confused, but for the most part I figured it out. And so I listened to some more of it when I was walking my dog, and I can say we're officially back in. I'm locked in. I'm gonna finish this, I believe it. There's not much to say in specific about my feelings, just that I have continued reading it and gotten over the speed bump of having no idea about the nuances of what's going on in this book. Kingdom of the Wicked, I just got to like 60-something%. It's downstairs, so I'm not gonna go grab it, but just know I'm talking about it. I'm like 60-something% of the way through. It's still like, again, middling and fine. I think just everything in this book is just not delved into in enough depth for me to enjoy. I think the world building and the magic are just like very much skimmed over, and I have no idea the rules of how any of it works, and that's just a pet peeve of mine. I don't do abstract magic systems. I like rules. I like to know the rules so that I know the bounds of what we're working with, because I find that more compelling to like kind of alongside the characters understand what is possible in this world, especially like in relation to the conflict. I'm like, okay, what can we do within this magic system to beat this conflict? Whereas if it's just abstract and there's no rules or no rules told to me, then I have no way of like trying to predict things and, you know, feel more invested in the story, because anything could really happen, which is kind of how I feel right now. I feel like the characters, they're fine. Am I incredibly connected to any of them? No. It kind of feels very tropey, especially with the main guy who's Wrath, like I think I mentioned before, who's this demon prince man. He's very much giving tall, dark, and handsome Rhysand-esque kind of character, where like he's got this shadow motif and like a matching tattoo with the main girl, and they're kind of tied together in that way, and it just like, it gives Rhysand-esque character that has been reused many a times in like the YA adult space, which is fine. Like, that's not a critique, and I don't think he's like pulled directly from Rhysand, but you know what I mean. Like, there's an archetype there. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. Like, you know, I can recognize that it's kind of tropey, kind of not very unique, but like it always hits. You know, who doesn't like a bantery, tall, dark, and handsome man? So I'll accept it. So I do like him. I like his dynamic with the main girl, but like none of it is just intensely impressive or intensely drawing me in. It's just kind of fine. The enemies to lovers of it all, again, not compelling, but it's just kind of fine. They're not like deep-seated enemies. They're more of those kind of enemies by circumstance, just because like he's a demon and she's a witch, so they're enemies. But they don't have like very much personal beef with each other, so it's not very compelling again for me. I don't know, I've just noticed the writing to be a little bit, again, just shallow. A moment in which I really noticed this was a little bit recently in what I was reading. The main character had this moment where she like broke down sobbing. She's like, I can't do this. I've taken on more than I can handle, blah, 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 blah. And within like the same paragraph, she like pulls herself together and she goes, but I'm still gonna try or whatever. And that's fine. That's a fine like journey to go on. But I feel like you need to sit in those feelings a little bit more for me to really care. Like she went through all the stages of grief in like the matter of a like paragraph, and that's just not compelling. Again, like that's my buzzword right now, but it's not compelling because you're not feeling along with her, you're not sitting in those feelings. And I just feel like that's a good way to look at or describe most of this book. I don't think you sit in a lot of things. I think it just goes from thing to thing to thing, not exploring anything too deeply. Like I guess like not every book needs to do all of that, but I do think it's lacking in a way. I think because it's not delving into really anything in terms of magic, world, characters, feelings, whatever, because it's not choosing any of those categories to delve into, it's just kind of like a surface level book to me. I just don't think it's going to be that memorable or anything like that. Again, still enjoying it for the time being, but is it something that I feel like I'm going to need to read the sequels or prioritize that in any way? Probably not. I'm not going to lie, probably not. I am about to go and try and read a chapter or two before I go to bed, even though it is already super late and I have a 7 a.m. shift tomorrow. Yippee. My anxiety has chosen now to act up and make it so that I cannot sleep, which is wonderful, great, I love it, yay. So true to my thesis in this vlog where I'm trying to replace time on my screen with time reading, instead of just doom scrolling until I fall asleep, which I usually would do in the darkness, hurting my eyeballs, I'm going to try and read a bit. Sorry, my voice has been really scratchy in this vlog, I recognize. I'm sick, so just disclaimer, however long into this vlog, I'm sick, sorry about that. That's why I'm all raspy and I keep coughing. So I'm up in my room grabbing my book lights, which I have a couple options. I have a traditional one, which is like you clip it onto the book and you have the light or whatever, which I've kind of always hated because I just don't like the way it fucks up the weight distribution on my book. And I feel like I can't focus because it just bothers me the way it works. But I also have this light, which is like, I think actually a crochet light, and you put it around your neck. My mom gave it to me. I think it was designed for crochet, but you put it around your neck and then it points down. And so I might try this one too, because then it's like, it moves with your head and it's not affecting the books. So yeah, these are our two options. I think I'm gonna try this one out because I don't think I've actually ever used it and I got it a year ago. So I might bust this guy out. And it's got a lot of settings. So I guess I can give you a little bit of a review after I use it, but I'm really hoping that reading a bit will tire my brain out a bit more so I can go to sleep, because again, I need to wake up early for work and I don't want to be super exhausted tomorrow, but I fear that is my destiny. A couple of days ago now, I finished Kingdom of the Wicked, and we're gonna talk about it now while I put my makeup on, because I'm gonna try and film a video going over all the books I've read in the past like 3-4 months since getting back into reading, and so I want to put a face on, so we're gonna do that. So Kingdom of the Wicked, is this a good angle for you? Is that better? I ended up giving Kingdom of the Wicked 2 out of 5 stars, which like I feel pretty fine about. Like I mentioned before, I felt pretty blah about the book most of my reading experience with it. A big nothing burger really, and I ended up giving it 2 just because like it was fine, but I also just think not written the best. Like I mentioned before, like it was just very shallow. There was not a lot of depth given to basically anything in the story. And like by the end of the book, I was just kind of like trying to get through it. I just wanted it to be over because I was just getting a little bit bored. Like not that there was nothing happening, I just started not caring because there was not much depth to anything. So it's like hard to latch on to anything, if that makes sense. The magic system is just not delved into at all in this book. Like things just happen, and so like that kind of bored me. I didn't get attached to the characters at all, and like their relationship, like okay, again, who doesn't like a tall, dark, and handsome and like bantery main male love interest? But like if that's all you are, it's kind of shallow. Like it's entertaining to read, like enough, but you're not connected to them at the end of the day. Like, they're just, again, just kind of a nothing. Just something to entertain in the moment, but not something I'm gonna think about ever. The main girl, I didn't dislike terribly so, but I started getting frustrated because we kept having these moments where it was just so heavy-handed in her, like, inner dialogue, inner monologue, where she was just like, you know, really expressing this conviction to be ruthless and, like, you know, get back at her sister's killer and all these demons who are causing all this havoc in the human world. And then anytime she got into a conflict with something or someone, she like froze and didn't do anything. And so it got really frustrating to read because I'm just like, I'm spending all this time with you, watching you have this like character growth in your mindset where you're like, I need to be bold and do these like ruthless things. But then when it came to ever needing to do something, she always froze, always crying, always vomiting. And like, if that happened 1 or 2 times, sure, I get it, because that establishes this character's baseline as like, she's not ready to handle these sorts of things. But it happened every time, all the way up to the end of the book. And then, like, the ending, we're supposed to believe she's like this wicked, badass person where she's like making this like crazy choice in the end. And like, she's like, not evil, but you know what I mean? Like, trying to have that like badass, dark energy to her. And I'm like, she doesn't have this. This is not who she is. So like, I don't know, this book was just middling in a way that was frustrating. Like, you're so mid in every single way. Is that even? So all in all, the book was just kind of disappointing. I don't really feel any need to continue the series. If I did, it'd probably be on audiobook, but even then, probably not gonna waste my time with that because I just didn't really like it. So that's a no from me. I know it was kind of hyped up a few years ago. I think it came out in like 2020 or something, but like, it's nothing sensational to me and I kind of don't know why people loved it. I think from the aesthetic of it, I understand why people might love it, but like, the actual content doesn't hold up. Now that we've gone over that whole meh experience, let's talk about what I'm currently reading now physically, because I've made no progress on one for my enemy. I just have not been able to motivate myself to pick up an audiobook. I'm so sorry. I like audiobooks, and I think I actually like them a lot more in theory than I do in reality. But like, something about picking them up is really hard for me, and I have a hard time reading them just because I feel like I have to rewind constantly if I miss like a single word. Because, fun fact about me, I have like pretty crippling anxiety and ADHD. And so I find when I'm listening to audiobooks, well, when I'm reading in general, I have a really hard time if I like don't understand every word completely. I can't like mentally move on. So I have to like reread things a lot, so which makes me a really slow reader. But with audiobooks, it's even worse because you're having to listen to it, and I can't listen to it on 1 time speed because that is too slow for my brain because the ADHD. I need it to be faster than that to compel me. But my anxiety makes it so that if I miss even a single word, I'm like, I have to rewind like 30 seconds. So reading audiobooks is really, really tedious for me. So I don't know. I think in my heart of hearts I want to be an audiobook girly. I just don't think it's really my destiny. So I'm probably going to take a break from audiobooks after I finish one for anime, so I don't have to have that hanging over my head, because I hate when I start an audiobook, get like a considerable amount of the way through the book, and then drop off because I can't get myself to open the audiobook. Anyway, audiobook rant aside, the physical book I'm reading is... Are you ready? This is actually crazy. You don't understand how crazy this is that I'm reading this. A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. She's a brick. She's gigantic. This is the 4th book in the ACOTAR series, and it's like the first book in the continuation of the series. And let me tell you, back in the day, I was a big Sarah J. Maas girly. Back in the OG booktube days, when Sarah J. Maas like first was popular, original covers and everything, like I was obsessed. And I read these all when I was like 14 to like 16. And I haven't read a single really one of her books since. I've read like Crescent City 1, but I haven't read the rest of them. Never even really attempted to read this one. I bought the hardcover when it came out. Never really gave it a real good college try, like maybe read a couple pages and said nope. And so this is my first time revisiting Sarah J. Maas as like a more fully formed adult. Like I'm 22 now, so it's been so many years since I really read Sarah J. Maas. Oh, I'm gonna put this down so I can actually keep getting ready, but just know we're talking about this. I'm reading A Court of Silver Flames with my friend Silver Flames with my friend Ava. When we read together, we read in 10 chapter chunks. So like the first 10 chapters we read, and then we check in with the other one, and if they haven't finished their 10 chapters, then we don't move on. And today I reached our first 10 chapter marker, which is on page 116. And so I'm waiting for Ava to catch up because I don't even know if she started it yet. Ava, I'm pressuring you. Get on that. I will synopsize A Court of Silver Flames, but it's gonna be a Bailey synopsis, which is a bad synopsis because I don't read the back of books. So when I give you my synopsis, it's based off of like maybe 3 sentences in the back of the book I read and the vibes I've gotten from the first like however many pages I've read. So sometimes they'll be like 20 to 50, sometimes it'll be 100 or 200. Like that's what my synopsis is gonna be based off. So that's why my descriptions can be a little crazy sometimes because I don't read backs of books. They give me too much information. But this book is following Nesta Archeron, who is one of Feyre, the main character of the main series, one of her sisters, and it follows her as well as Cassian, who is one of Rhysand's like brothers, who Rhysand is the main love interest of the main series. We all know Rhysand. So it falls on both, and it's actually both their perspectives, which I did not know going into this. And I've been actually really liking that. I like having Cassian's perspective as well, especially because it breaks up Nesta's, because Nesta's got a lot going on mentally at the moment. Sorry, I dropped you in the sink, so the angle might have changed, but it's following both of their perspectives, and it's taking place. I should stop doing lipstick while I'm speaking. This is, again, another disclaimer in this video that comes way too late. I took my medication for my ADHD. I took it for the first time in like 3 weeks today. So if I seem erratic, it's because of my Adderall. Sorry about that. I need to get back into being consistent with it, and so I took it today, and it's definitely hitting me harder than it should and normally does. So sorry if I'm kind of bouncing off the walls and bouncing all over the place. Okay, I don't know where I was at. I think I was talking about when this book takes place. It takes place about a year and a bit, just over a year after the war with Hybern, which is like the main plot of the main series, and we're kind of dealing with the aftermath in terms of how it affects Nesta. She is dealing with a lot of like inner turmoil about what she became, because I guess, is it spoilers if I'm giving the synopsis of a book that inherent to its premise is spoilers for the main series? I don't know. If you're really concerned about spoilers for ACOTAR, I guess like be careful, but Nesta's dealing with the aftermath of like becoming High Fae and losing her humanity, and how the cauldron affected her, and also how like the war with Hybern affected her and losing her dad. So she's feeling a lot of things internally, like her whole life was turned upside down. So she's dealing with a lot of that. I'm gonna do this here actually. So that's where like we're entering in to this book. The actual inciting incident of this book is Nesta getting told by Feyre and Rhysand that she needs to cut her bullshit because she has been coping with all this trauma and inner turmoil with like the triple threat of shitty coping mechanisms, which is alcoholism, casual sex, casual meaningless sex, and gambling. And all of that on Feyre and Rhysand's dime. So they go like, cut the bullshit, this isn't working. And they send her to live in the House of Wind and train with Cassian in like an Illyrian camp and work in the library. And she's real pissed about this, but that's the inciting incident and where we enter this book. I have been really scared of this book for a very long time because I am a Nesta hater. I never liked her from the beginning because she, well, one, just had a shitty attitude, which I can be kind of forgiven. I know she was in a bad situation, but they all were. So there's no real reason for you to be shitty. She was really shitty to Feyre. She didn't help take care of their family. Feyre is the youngest, and she was hunting and having to do all this stuff and still being treated poorly by her family. Crazy. So I hold resentment that Feyre doesn't even hold, actually, at this point. I hold that resentment toward Nesta. She's just like an unlikable person, which is the point of her character, but she's a very unlikable character, and in turn, I don't like her. Sorry if there's a lot of Nesta defenders over here. I'm a Nesta hater through and through. So I really avoided this book and didn't like it conceptually because I was like, it's following someone I hate. But actually, I'm pleasantly surprised in the first 100 pages. She's not as insufferable as I assumed she was going to be. Mind you, she's still very unlikable, and she's still got a terrible attitude and rude and whatever, but I actually don't hate her perspective. I really enjoy Cassian's perspective. It's definitely the one I prefer, but I by no means dislike Nesta's, which is actually really nice because it's a lot of Nesta, this book. It's like a 750 page book, so I'm gonna have to get acquainted with her. I guess I never like really inquired about, looked into, or heard about what the actual plot of the book was. I just knew it's the Nesta book, and that was all I ever like heard about it or really
cared to think about it as, but I'm enjoying how involved the original characters from ACOTAR are. I guess I never realized that they were going to be really present in this book, even though I feel like I should have realized that, but I was like, oh, it's a spin-off, they're not gonna be around. They're around, and I'm really glad. It's really nice actually returning to these characters. I thought as an adult I would be reading this and just be like, this is so corny, this is so dumb. I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up. Especially after I just recently read the first 3 books of Fourth Wing, which I do enjoy. I have a lot of critiques of it, but I do enjoy. But it's really interesting because I think there's a lot of parts of Fourth Wing we can all see are inspired by ACOTAR, so it's interesting returning to the source material, one could say, and seeing like Rhysand, who Xaden is so obviously based on, like seeing the original one, which is really cool. And also like Sarah J Maas's writing, my queen of the M-dash, before AI took it over, something about her writing is just so compelling, and I'm eating it up, you know what I mean? Like, no shame, I'm eating it up, and I'm very happy for that. I'm definitely not going to finish that book in this vlog, both because of my reading speed and because Ava is behind. But I thought I'd let you know that I'm reading that. With that being said, I'm gonna go try and film a little book review. Haven't done that in a while, so we'll see. I took a bunch of notes actually. While I was on shift earlier, I had time, and so I wrote notes on all the books that I was gonna talk about in this video. And so I'm prepared, so we'll see how that goes. This is going to be like the final or second to final day of this vlog because I want to cut it off, but I have not achieved the goal I want to achieve, and so I feel as though I need to give myself one last try to do it. Before I get into that though, I will say I'm still thoroughly enjoying A Court of Silver Flames. I'm now like 200 something pages in, and I can't continue because my friend is not cut up to the point that I am, so I have to wait until she is ready to continue this section of the book, which is eating me alive because I just want to read this, and I've been working a lot, and I do have a lot of downtime in my job because I tend to work like super early in the morning or super late at night, and not a lot of people need you at those times, a matter of fact, so I do a lot of reading, so I'm not going to be able to read this tonight when I have a shift, which is really unfortunate because I really am just yearning to read this. Nesta really isn't bothering me that much. Like, I still don't really like her, but she's not as horrific to read as I thought she'd be. I definitely still prefer Cassian's perspective though. I love being in that man's head. I think also because he's more interconnected with the rest of the inner circle and the characters that I like know from the main series and got attached to over those of that main series and feel like nostalgic to, so he interacts with them a lot more and thinks about them a lot more, and that's very fun for me. I love how involved the inner circle has been. Oh my gosh, I just got out of a chapter where the inner circle was there and I just get so excited. I never think about them very much, but like now reading a book where they're present, I'm just getting really excited about getting to see these characters that I was like super invested in once upon a time, and just like remembering all of their lore and seeing them interact with each other. I'm loving it. Something I don't like, or I'm worried about, I guess, is how much this book and like Cassian and Nesta's dynamic is just gonna be like a replay of Faysand and like Favor and Rhysand's dynamic and like the way they got together, because like there are little parallels. Okay, well, first off, we have the dynamic of like there's the 3 sisters and the 3 brothers. I have really mixed feelings about Azriel and Elaine as a ship because like I think they're cute, but also I resent the idea of all 3 of these sisters ending up with all 3 of these brothers. It would be so corny to me, and I just don't think I'd get over that. So like I worry about that. And then with this book, with Nesta and Cassian, as we know, like that are the love interests of this book, like I just don't want them to like kind of replay plot beats from Faysand. And not that they are per se, but like there was a bargain made in this book, and I just got slightly peeved because I was like, I don't want to do the bargains and matching tattoos thing again because it's never gonna beat the original. So like why are we running back this sort of idea? And I don't think it's inherently like playing back the same thing, but it just reminds me too much, and obviously that's what Feyre and Rhysand are associated with. So like of course I'm gonna think about them when I think about like matching tattoos and bargains between an Archeron and one of these Bat Boy brothers. I really hope there's not many parallels to Faysand because I didn't really enjoy that one. But overall, still liking this. I've made some progress into this brick. The problem I have is that I've made basically no progress on One for My Enemy, and I have 1 day left to read this, or else I have to renew my loan on Libby for the audiobook from the library. And I'm probably gonna do that because I think I have like 5 hours left. But my goal is to power through as much of this as I possibly can today and see if I can get a little closer to the end and get closer to getting the top I'm currently reading, because I'm just starting to dread this book. I just have not wanted to listen to an audiobook at all, and also I've just been so much more interested in my physical read that I just don't want to listen to this at all. So I'm about to go on a dog walk, and I'm gonna force myself to listen to this, and I'm probably gonna go to the bookstore just to like look around because they're dog friendly, so I'll usually go in there so that the dog can be in the AC and I can be in the AC, and maybe that'll motivate me to read, because being around books typically makes me want to read. So like, I'm about to try and make some progress on this. Wish me luck. I'm at the dog park, and there are some people having an absolute ball in the other corner of the dog park, so you can hear music. Those people are having fun. I fucking finally finished One for My Enemy by Olivie Blake. Genuinely, the relief I feel to not have that audiobook hanging over my head is it's more than I can even articulate. So yeah, let's wrap this up by chatting about it. This book, I ended up giving it a 3-star. I think 3 stars can kind of go either way, where it's like 3-star bad connotation or 3-star neutral positive connotation. This is a 3-star with like a neutral positive connotation. I like this book. I think the flaws I find in this book largely are because I had such a chopped up reading experience with it, which is all my bad. I think some of the nuances of the book were lost to me because I kept starting and stopping with this book, which is totally my bad. At the end of this book, I really enjoyed. It really, like the last, I guess, like 15% of it was really thrilling, very exciting to read. There were a lot of twists and turns going on, and like at times a little hard to follow. I guess that's my critique of this book. After like about the 50% mark, it gets a little hard to follow because everyone has their own scheme, nobody's being fully honest, and the schemes keep changing, and like you don't know who knows what and who's working with who. It's very confusing to follow, I'm gonna be very honest. So I guess that I would say is a critique of it. Was it exacerbated by the fact that I kept starting and stopping this book? Yes, but I do think it is an inherent quality of this book that there's just a lot of schemes, a lot of plans, a lot of changing loyalties, and it's a little hard to follow at times. But the last 15%, despite all of that, was very exciting because things started coming together. What I found really interesting about this book is that the main characters, I think, solidly are the younger siblings of these two families with Sasha and Lev. They are staunchly, I think, the main characters. But around the halfway point, it kind of switches, and they aren't really the main focus anymore. It switches to the older siblings of the families, Maria and Dimitri, and they kind of become the main focus, and then Sasha and Lev kind of come back in by the end. But honestly, the last 50% really focus on those older siblings, and then the book wraps up with how it impacts the younger ones. And that was an interesting dynamic because something I really enjoyed was the older siblings in the first half of the book when they weren't as much of a focus. Like, I remember really enjoying their story because they also were in a whole entanglement. These Fedorovs and Antonovas are like freaking flies and honey, okay? They love each other so much despite the fact that these families are at odds. Maybe that hatred just breeds more romantic tension, I don't know. But they also had like a romantic entanglement as well as the younger ones, and it was interesting seeing both of their dynamics. I also adored Lev. I loved his dynamic with Sasha, his main love interest and the female main character. But he was just so silly and charming, and I just really enjoyed all of his dialogue and all of his like chapters that were his POV, because he just had a very light air to him, and I thought he was just very like, I don't know, he was funny. He felt like a realistic like 20-something-year-old guy who's like charming. So I really enjoyed him, and I was really glad when he kind of returned to the story, not to kind of talk about too in depth what happens, because dude, people come and go from the story in and out so much. I can't like give you details because it would be spoilers, but let me tell you, people just keep coming and going, and it's hard to follow at times. But I was really happy when he returned to the story because I was missing him. I needed some of his cheery, bantery presence, because during the middle part of this book it got a little dreary and I needed some of that Lev fun, but thankfully he does return, and it was very nice. Something that like pisses me off personally is I feel like some people didn't get their comeuppance fully, and you know, that's fair, but I am a person who loves vengeance and justice, and I kind of wanted everybody to get their just desserts who deserved it. But you know what, it's okay, I'll accept it. I think part of the messaging of the book is that hatred is, you know, bad for the soul, and seeking revenge and rivalries and stuff like that isn't healthy, and you know, just ends up ruining your own life. But despite recognizing that as the message, I do want revenge, and I do want everybody to suffer who deserves to suffer. Sorry. So yeah, overall, I actually had like a really good time with this, despite how hard it was for me to read this book for whatever reason. I think it's because I approached it through audiobook, but I don't know if I had read it physically, if that would have like helped me that much. I don't know. It's just one of those books that I was having a hard time staying in, even though like I didn't dislike it. And with that, I'm going to free myself and you from this reading blog. I think to wrap this up, what I read One for My Enemy, the audiobook, and I read Kingdom of the Wicked, and then I am in the middle of A Court of Silver Flames, which I've continued reading, by the way, and I'm thoroughly enjoying still. And I'm going to start another reading vlog probably today or tomorrow, and we're going to continue reading that one, so stay tuned for the rest of my thoughts on that one in particular. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and hopefully you're partying just like these people at the dog park.